Padge, you got
Yes.
the opportunity, thanks to the kind folk over at Bethesda, to sit down and review Doom Eternal. Please tell me about why this game is so awesome.
Now, firstly, thank you to Bethesda
Yep.
for providing me a copy on, and sorry, this is a sinful thing to say, on the Xbox.
Oh, man.
That Matt Hewson, I'll curse you a little bit, mate, because I was looking for some trophies as well while I'm doing this. But and I'm still going to pick up my PS4 copy and play it again.
Yep.
But he basically just said, whatever console you want to give it to us on, and of course they gave it on Xbox because no one wants it on Xbox.
Yeah.
PlayStation is the platform. But anyway,
Go on.
it's awesome on both.
There
So,
goes the opportunity for us to launch an Xbox podcast, but there you go. Go on.
I wasn't going to be on it.
No.
So what would you like to know, actually? Because I think a lot of people have a lot of expectations and established by Doom 2016, but also what we've seen pre-release. What do you want to know?
Is it as polished as the first one? It would be my first question.
Yes,
It is.
100%.
How does it feel in terms of I'm looking at some of the footage right now, and it does remind me a lot of 2016 Doom.
Yeah. And it is in large part, that core idea of Doom 2016 is still right there. It's what they've layered on top that I think makes this better and different.
Tell me, what's different compared to the 2016 version and Eternal?
So at the end of the day, Doom 2016, a bit like the other games in the franchise, a lot like a lot of other first-person shooters out there, it's a dumb shooter in the sense that if you've got your favorite weapon, it makes big boom and does big kill, you can bash your way through everything. And that includes in Doom 2016. Yes, you'd be encouraged to flick your weapons around every now and then, but you could brute force your way through it if you were just evasive enough and you'd be fine. It doesn't fly in Doom Eternal. You will have to think really strategically about your weapons, what you're using against what enemy. Think the cacodemons, so the iconic kind of eyeball blob thing for anyone who's not familiar with Doom. He'll float towards you, and look, you can just go long range and pepper away with your combat rifle or whatever your thing is, or you could have your combat shotgun, which is the first weapon you get in the game. That is, and again, the combat shotgun, not the double barreled. One of the mods that you can get for that is to install a grenade launcher on it. And all you need to do is just shoot that grenade straight into its mouth, which is very easy to do. Instantly stuns it. There's your glory kill. Done.
Fantastic. So it's not.
Now you extend that across the whole suite of all the various demons in it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like you shoot the gun that's on the turret that's on the top here, because that'll disable its main weapon to actually attack you. Doesn't mean it's completely renders the thing useless.
Yeah.
But all of these different enemies have this. Your shining spot equivalent.
Yeah.
They've got that one weak spot that doesn't kill them necessarily, but it disables them in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And it protecting yourself whilst also remaining on the offensive.
Yeah.
And when you string all these things together, it's this beautiful dance. And when you check out the review on the Player 2 website, which is as of when this podcast goes up, it's live now. There's this. I use the word dance a lot because it really feels like that. You are moving from place to place in this really methodic fashion, but it's still very graceful. It's still got that same kind of clean movement, that really, just an incredible layer of polish on the actual, just how you traverse the world.
Yeah.
You add some really awesome new platforming elements into it that don't overstay their welcome.
Yeah.
And actually work in really quite well with one another, from the dash to the swinging on the poles. There's wall climbing and all those sort of aspects. All of these things come together. The wall climbing, they try not to throw too much into combat because that does slow you down.
It doesn't seem like a very skin and bones kind of deal like they had with, like, an arcade experience that they had with 2016, like Doom 2016. This looks a little more in depth in terms of some of the key features that they've added already. I've noticed. Ryan Betson over at the Pop Culture, so I had a chat with him about Doom Eternal as well, and mentioned the fact that the title felt a little more platformy and gamey as well in terms of its feel. I'm not
gamey's
sure
definitely
but if you can express or
it's that arcadey concept, but amplified somewhat, I guess.
Yeah.
One of the things that kind of impressed me the most, I suppose we've already kind of discussed it, is the way it all kind of comes together. It's greater than the sum of all its parts. All the individual parts are fantastic as well.
Right.
But that there is that kind of gamey feel. It's that we can distinguish between arcadey, and we know what an arcadey sort of game feels like.
Yep.
But then there is this extra layer that just still encourages you to just keep going and going and going. And I'd say there's almost a hint of, and I'm trying not to use this too flippantly because a lot of people do. There's almost like a Soulsy sort of aspect to it, which is kind of where the gamey aspect also comes into, because it's you died, try again, you died, try again, you died, try again. There is a little bit of that, like because there's this strategic element that if you try not to play by their rules, you'll get your ass kicked no matter the difficulty.
All right.
Like even playing on normal is actually quite brutal.
Interesting.
It's a harder game than before because they've made the demons so they've added these layers to the various demons.
Right.
You can't just blast your way through and expect to survive.
Yeah.
By extension,
yeah,
you put a toe wrong and you could get your ass kicked. Get a little bit disoriented, get yourself trapped in the corner, and they're coming for you. And if you haven't disabled you haven't taken out the cacodemons with an easy kill, or there's these new snake-like guys that kind of I think they're actually the only female demon ever in the franchise. So I won't say guys, but this snake-like demon that comes up, like they all just flock to you very quickly, and they've all got their own different ways to exploit them. So you can only whip out one gun at one time. So you only can really focus your attention on one, whilst the others are wailing on you. You need to be really conscious of what's going on around you at all times. And yeah, it gives you that gamey feel because you're going to get bashed up pretty often.
Performance-wise, how's it run?
I mean, again, I can't speak for the PlayStation version. Played it on Xbox.
Yeah.
But where we discussed Ori in the latest Dash Gamer podcast, and it did have some performance issues. This could not be running any better. Sweet. Smooth, buttery smooth, actually.
Yeah.
I've been trying to break it at various different points. There's some parts of the game there where you're kind of trapped in this purple sludge. It just weighs you down. You can't dash. You can't jump. You can't. And I'm trying to work the boundaries of the level there to see if I can find something that all of a sudden allows me to jump up and burst through and kind of break what was supposed to be a restrictive platforming sequence there.
Right.
I can't do it. I'm really they've been incredibly it's meticulous what they've done.
Yeah, now that's incredible. That's actually really good design and good polish at the end of it. How does it my general question would be, how does it look? Does it shape up to how Doom 2016 looked, or is it? I mean,
as you'd expect, it's better visually in 2016 simply because the technology's developed and what they're working with is better. A little bit better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it in 4K, and I've tried it on my monitor here that we're using for this podcast, as well as my 4K TV, and it just looks unbelievable no matter what display I'm throwing it on. Nice. I've even got this shitty little, I don't know, must be 10 to 15 years old, this little 720p monitor at my desk at work, where when I was getting a bit desperate to try and get the review done, I was bringing it in there, and it still looked great on that.
All right.
And then, of course, there's the Mick Gordon soundtrack, which...
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. How's the soundtrack?
It's fantastic. It probably doesn't hit as hard as the first one, only because we've heard it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was such a punch hearing the Doom 2016 soundtrack. And as much as there's cool little nuggets there that kind of differentiate the Eternal one from the 2016 one, we've seen some of the trailer footage of getting various metal singers together, and they're kind of almost like a choir of metal singers. That's all really cool, and there are these really high moments, but overall it still feels like the last game in terms of the soundtrack, so it doesn't, as brilliant as it is, it doesn't punch as hard as what it did before. And it's brilliant, but it just doesn't hit the same.
Back to gameplay for a second. One of the things I remember about Doom 2016 was some of the difficulty spikes that I encountered with some enemies as well. Like a lot of boss battles, there were definite spikes, like huge, almost some that you couldn't overcome. How do they handle that in Eternal?
It's smoothed out better in this case.
It's leveled a little bit more, yeah.
It's still not easy, but the game itself is not easy. So I think that's kind of what smooths it out somewhat. It's almost like the rest of the game has lifted to kind of make those spikes feel far less pronounced.
Yep.
they are still there, and I mean, without like we've been introduced to the Doom Hunter. You might remember that from some of the from the pre-release stuff.
Yep.
I thought, okay, great, I've taken this guy without spoiling too much. Oh, great, I took this guy down. Oh, there's more of them, and this was all in the same battle. I thought, great, done. That's like I was already stressed out having just taken out one of them. And then there was like 2 or 3 afterwards. Like, oh my god,
there's a horde of them.
That's one criticism I do have now. In the review that we've got on the website, myself and Dylan Burns from Player 2 as well, it's one of these co-op reviews that we do every now and then. He kind of focused more on this than I did, but the game does at various different points, and that Doom Hunter example I mentioned is one example of it. It does kind of outstay its welcome at different points.
Okay.
Only in the sense that like you think you're done, you can see the finish. It's almost like what a lot of people spoke of when they were talking about Days Gone last year. We thought, I'm done. Nope. Right. No. We're going to throw one more thing at you. In that, the battle's not over. You've got here's for some reason more Doom Hunters to get you, or for some reason here's more of this or that. And it turned a game that, I mean, look, it probably only adds maybe an hour to your extra gameplay there, but it felt unnecessary to go, here we go, we'll bash you over the head with the same enemy again. You've just beaten this boss. Now take 2 of them. And not later on in the game. Not, you've gotten more comfortable, your arsenal's awesome, you've gotten really proficient at the game. No, we're going to throw it at you right now, just because we can.
Yeah.
That doesn't sit overly well, but it's not a deal breaker by any sense.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Padge, when does Doom Eternal land, for those who don't know?
Right alongside Animal Crossing, the wonderful collaboration of these 2 communities coming together this Friday,
Fantastic.
The 20th of March.
Fantastic, and I can't wait. It's going to be fantastic.
Get your hands on it, it's awesome.
Yeah.